and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo. We're here at the South Park Center. I'm delighted to join Chris with his movie, Fishers of Men. Let's take a look at the clip.
So Zelensky's a little guy, but his hugs are huge, so you're gonna want to brace yourself, okay? He's super excited to meet you. He was so happy for me when I told him I was getting a greenie. Hey, Trish, good morning, good morning, good morning. Daily inspiration incoming. Okay, what do we got today? No success in life can compensate for failure in the home. Okay, so anyway, you know the drill. Just stick this in our door when you're ready for eternal happiness, okay? And if you ever need anything, just come on by. We've got free Book of Mormons, we've got little pamphlets, we just got these.
Chris, welcome to New Filmmakers LA. Welcome to the family. Thank you so much for bringing your film to us. For those that haven't seen Fishers of Men, tell us a brief synopsis.
So it's sort of a day in the life of two Mormon missionaries. One of them is almost done with his 2 years of service, and the other one is brand new. And it's sort of you're kind of watching the more experienced guy sort of come to terms with his own failures while also trying to guide this other young man into this strange new experience.
And thank you for bringing this story to us, because we just haven't seen one from this perspective before. It was so really interesting. Where did the inspiration come for you, Chris, in deciding to turn this story into a film?
Yeah, you know, I mean, obviously this comes from a personal experience of being born and raised in the Mormon Church, and you know, it's been about 20 years since I've practiced, and it's a very intense church to be a part of, and it's sort of strange to look back and realize how sort of indoctrinated I was growing up. It was just, you know, and so, you know, when you think about sending, you know, a 19-year-old person off to some city they've never been to go tell people how to live their lives, you don't really have to stretch too far to sort of come up with a story. You know, you really come out of that experience with a lot of stories, and so it was more a question of like which parts to include, you know. But yeah, I think, you know, Mormon-related media always sort of has a slant one way or the other, negative or positive, and always feels sort of propagandized. And so I really wanted to sort of find that middle ground and give people an insight into what it was actually like to be a Mormon missionary. Just the day-to-day of it, you know.
I love what, you know, thank you for doing it, because I think you really, you know, didn't give us a sort of outside perspective or a stereotypical perspective. You showcased the truth from both sides, from receiving this in your own homes to actually being a missionary yourself. The story was really, you know, wonderfully complex with all these different characters and emotions, and you had a great plethora and ensemble of a cast as well. How did you go about bringing your cast together? Because obviously this is your experience, you've experienced this, and you want to make sure you've got people that can truly understand the experience as well. How was that process for you?
Well, I mean, being this close to the material actually makes casting a little bit easier, because you really know sort of specifically what you're trying to get in terms of like them evoking, you know, the realness of what that experience was like. So I knew very clearly what I wanted, but you know, I wore a lot of hats in this production, including casting. I cast it myself, which I usually do. But yeah, you know, just Actors Access, Breakdown Express, you put out the casting call, and you know, you pray that you find these people, you know, and there's a lot of candidates out there that I think, you know, the entertainment world tends to bring a lot of people to it who have no business being a part of it, you know, but it's so alluring, and so you know, you do have to sort of, it can be sort of soul-crushing to look through so many people, but then you find these gems. You know, Dawson Mullen, who played Elder Couch.
Yeah, wonderful guy.
Just an incredible actor, and we kind of found him just this diamond in the rough, you know. And then Jay Kyman played Mr. Zelensky, who just feels born to play that role, you know.
Oh, totally.
And you know, we didn't have a whole lot of options for Zelensky. There was one other guy that I'd worked with before that I thought could do it, but nowhere near what Jay would be capable of doing. And so to only really have one candidate, but also have him be the best person to do it, you know, was really, I don't know. I feel like with this production, the movie gods were sort of on our side. You know, a lot of things sort of fell into place.
You had a really fair balance of the perspective of like receiving, you know, these missionaries at the door, and then also from the missionaries' perspective as well. And I think it was really great writing where you just kind of really gathered both perspectives. But I'm just curious, as a director, how do you work with your actors? What's your kind of process with your actors?
Well, I mean, 95% of it is in the casting phase. If you don't cast it right, you're kind of screwed, you know, because you can't say it for them, you know, and so you can only give them so many notes before you just kind of go, well, this is what we have. And I've been in that scenario, and it's, you know, terrifying. But fortunately, you know, I think we just cast this really well. And so on the day, it wasn't really a matter of getting them to get to some kind of place. Like we met beforehand and kind of went through it. I would say the one of the trickiest parts was we had that long shot of the two of them walking up the hill, and Dawson is just rambling the whole time. And you know, that was a moment of, in rehearsals, it was kind of like, oh boy, okay, this is going to be tricky because it's a mouthful, but I also really wanted it to feel off the cuff, you know, and not rehearsed. And so I was a little concerned, but then on the day, I think we did like 3 takes. He just sort of, it was just the note of like, you know, make it feel more natural, more just sort of, you're coming up with it as you're saying it. And yeah, he really found it. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy when you think about it. It's a lot of pressure on like a 19-year-old to go out and missionary to tell people how to, like you said, like to live their lives. But I think one of the really interesting dynamics you had is that, you know, you showed it really well from the missionaries' perspective and what their intentions were, but also they're also on self-discovering themselves almost in their own lives because they're young and they're, you know, impressionable by what's around them. But then as well, like you really had a great dynamic in sharing, like, you know, the people that you had in the film that behind closed doors, we don't know what one goes through or what they're experiencing, whether they're depressed or have gone through something. And you just had it was really great to see these stories of the people as well behind. So it makes me curious, you know, having grown up in the Mormon church, what did you want your audience to take from your film?
You know, I remember you asking some other people that last night, and I've been thinking about that, and I don't know that I want them to take anything specific, or I can't really name it other than just anything, you know, whatever. I want them to feel something, and whatever that is, you know, that's for them. You know, I obviously there's sort of a roadmap of the film. I want you to sort of gasp when Zelensky kisses him, and and then lean in when there's blood on the back of the note at the end, and you know, there's definitely mile markers of like, here's what I'm but in terms of like an overall sort of feeling, I mean, definitely it'd be nice for people to have some kind of insight into, you know, I'm sure many of us have seen these 2 young men or women walking around the street with their Bibles and Book of Mormon and whatever, and maybe just to have a better idea of like how bizarre that scenario is that they are in, and maybe have a little bit more patience, you know, with them. I would say maybe. I think you accomplished that hands down. In terms of production, of course, filming up the hill, that was a little rough, I'm sure. But in terms of production, what was the kind of bigger challenges that you had in making this project? Well,
was there any, or was it plain sailing easy, Chris?
No, I mean, in many ways, like I was saying, like a lot of things fell into place for us. But there were also, I mean, as there always are, you know, crazy challenges and unforeseen things. And you know, I wrote, directed, edited, location scouted. You know, I was lugging all the grip gear into the location the night before, you know, and putting it all in the back of my truck.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it was out of necessity. This was all out of pocket, you know, and
Yep.
it was really a story that I just knew I needed to tell for a long time. And after doing a lot of, you know, comedy sketches and commercials and stuff, it was like just overdue for me to tell something narrative and something so personal. And so I would say, you know, the challenges were just, you know, we had an amazing crew, but it was a very small crew, and we had to be really nimble. And we stole all of our footage, like when we're burning that suit, we're just sort of looking around, hoping the cops don't drive by as we're like lighting something on fire in the middle of LA. You know, but yeah, I mean, it's always the same thing though, of just like I said last night, like getting what you need before the sun goes down. It's just give and take and a constant sort of compromise, and you know, that's always true.
What's it been like on your festival run? We certainly loved having it at NewFilmmakers LA on the big screen. You had such a wonderful block of filmmakers as well, and you all just complement each other so well. What's the experience been like? Because it was certainly lovely to have you last night.
It's been great. You know, we're near the end of our run, and we've had a good, you know, a good handful of sort of, yeah, some great festivals. And this has been a great experience too. I know you guys have had all those Zoom meetings during the week, and unfortunately it's been a crazy week for me, and I feel that I have sort of missed out on some of that. But
well, we'll catch you up, don't you worry, Chris.
No, I mean, it was a great venue. It looked and sounded great.
You had a good time?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, and the audience reactions were really fantastic. It's, you know, you're always sort of sitting there hoping that it plays the way you want.
The way you want it.
And I feel very satisfied and grateful to have been a part of it.
Of course, welcome to the family, and thank you to our audience, because we always have the most best vibrant audience as well, so it's super exciting. What's next for you?
Well, we're developing a feature version of Fishers where it's sort of, the story continues pretty much where it leaves off at the end of the film, where they go up to her apartment and it gets pretty weird from there. But I just finished shooting a Lego commercial in Denmark, and we're sort of heavily
in the original place where Lego?
Yeah. So that was
How was that?
Really great experience. Those they're very chill, those people. It's very strange to be on set where everyone's just sort of hanging out. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't the same kind of urgency that you sort of find here in LA, but that ended up being a very positive thing. But yeah, I mean, I have a writing partner that we wrote this together, and we're just sort of always working on, you know, a handful of different things, and you know, splitting our time between commercials and comedy shorts. I have a YouTube channel that you know, we try to upload to as often as we can. And
where can we find it? Where is it?
So if you search, probably be easier to search Working with Jigsaw or Living with Jigsaw. The name of the channel is Handlebar Mustache Land. So, you know, it's mostly comedy sketches and stuff, but, you know, Fishers of Men, I think, is more indicative of sort of the path that I am aiming for. You know, obviously there's comedic influences in the short. We got some great laughs last night.
Yeah, you know, you really did. The audience were very responsive. But well, we need comedy, so thank you for giving us some light. We really appreciate it. But thank you for Fishers of Men. I'm so glad that you're extending this film and turning it into a feature. That's super exciting. But thank you for being part of NewFilmmakers LA, and thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Chris, everybody.